それではAcevoと連携するJACEVOの発足にあたりまして駆けつけてくださいました日本初の講演となりますので、スティーブン・バブ氏のお話をお願いしたいと思います。
Thank you, and very warm welcome from my colleagues in the UK. It's very good for me to be here in Japan, and it's a great honour to be asked to speak to you at the launch of JACEVO. And I've called my talk to you a recipe for success, leading through uncharted waters. And it's very interesting for me to be here at the day after you have had such an important change of direction in Japan with the election of a new government. And we too in the UK next year may also experience a major change of government. After 12 years of a Labour government, there may well be a Conservative government, and the question will be, what change will that be for us too? But first of all, a little about me, and then Will Adams. I've been the Chief Executive of JACEVO for nearly 10 years now. Next year I shall celebrate my 10th anniversary. I'm also the Secretary General of Euclid, which is our European Third Sector Leaders Network. And I also chair, as a non-executive chair, Future Builders, which is a government-backed loan fund for the third sector. Will Adams, or as I think he's known in Japan, Anjin Sama. I was born and brought up in Gillingham in Kent, and my family have a long naval tradition, and Gillingham is the has been the home of the British Navy. And every day when I went to school, I went past a memorial to Will Adams. Will Adams was born in Gillingham, but left during the time of Queen Elizabeth to come to Japan, and he was employed by Shogun Tokugawa to build the first Japanese Western-style Japanese ships. So he is regarded, I understand, as one of the founders of the Japanese Navy, and he has a memorial somewhere, I believe, in Tokyo. He lived and eventually died in Japan. I hope to go back to the UK. For me, I've always been fascinated by Japan from an early age, and I was very pleased when I was in my youth to be able to come here and spend a month travelling in Japan, and it is a unique and fascinating country. Let me just give you now an idea of the size of our third sector in the UK. We are actually, as a sector, we are bigger than the car industry and farming. We employ more staff than the banks. And our annual turnover as a sector is £120 billion. So this is a big sector. And it's a very broad sector, and it composes charities, non-profit organisations, as you would describe, small voluntary organisations that might have no staff, social enterprises, which is a growing part of our sector, foundations, grant makers, cooperatives, international NGOs, and the academia. So it's a big sector. And this is me and my friend the Prime Minister, Tony Blair. And when we, in 2007, we celebrated our 20th anniversary, and Prime Minister Blair gave us a reception in number 10 Downing Street, and that's me telling him how to run the country. A little bit about JACEVO. I think you have some information on this. We have over 2,000 members now, and the important thing is that they are the chief executives who run and manage most of the third sector. So it is for us, it's the professional end of our third sector. And this is what we say we do as an organisation. It's our manifesto for a modern, enterprising third sector. And what we expect our chief executive members to promote is a professional and passionate sector, well-led, well-governed and accountable, and enterprising and innovative. We launch a pay survey every year, which is used to benchmark chief executive salaries, and we run a whole range of courses. Perhaps it's worth saying that we run an event every 4 days, so we have a very active events program. For professional development of chief executives, we run leadership development. One of the interesting courses that we do is run in conjunction with the Institute of Directors, and it's a course that teaches about your legal responsibilities as a company director. Let me turn to how we work with government, and we have a very close relationship with government. Having worked closely with my friend Tony Blair, I also now work closely with my friend Gordon Brown. So I said that we've had a long tradition in England of helping make legislation, and that's continued. And so I would regard my work in ACEVO as being very much around ensuring government policy towards the third sector promotes our interests, protects our interests, and advances the interests of our organisations. Now, in the UK, you would not expect any major piece of legislation that affects children, old people, people with disabilities, for example, to go through Parliament unless there had been strong consultation with member organisations beforehand. And indeed, many pieces of legislation will have originated in non-profits. Parts of it will have been written by non-profits. When I return to Japan in 10 years, I will expect JACEVO to be in exactly the same position with government.